Welcome to Chris and Carlette Live, a podcast about life, love, and overcoming obstacles. Each week, we discuss the good, the bad, and the indifferent of life's interruptions. Now, here's your host, Chris and Carlette.
Keep believing, don't go stressing, keep it moving. God, we're resting, here to help you, here to bless you. With God on our side, CNC Live, CNC Live, CNC.
Alrighty.
We're here.
We are here.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. What is the production?
S1E3.
S1E3.
I'm learning.
Yes, you are learning. You
learning.
look awfully gorgeous today.
Well, thank you, sir. You
I
look
love
mighty
your
happy.
hair.
Thank you.
Yes.
Whatever I have to do so I won't cut it off just for you.
Ooh, yes. My Lord Jesus.
Okay.
There is a God. Yes, sir. We have a new, let me turn this down a little bit. Or you might have to turn your phone down a little bit. But we have a new segment.
Yes, we do.
And
I'm
it's
excited
called
about
what?
That. C&C Recap.
So we're going to recap the week before.
Thank you, everyone that's coming on in. We appreciate you coming in on Facebook, YouTube, seeing Chris and Carlette Live pages on YouTube and Facebook, CNC Live on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes, so let's go ahead and recap.
Especially a lot of times believers are under the impression that there's no trouble in godly marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where they do that at? Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
trouble in
Every marriage.
as long as you married to a human being that has their own set of issues, and then you got your own problems, it's gonna be some problems.
Absolutely. And then here's the crazy part. You can go to premarital counseling. You can go to any kind of counseling you want to go to. The truth is, you really not going to know what marriage is until you get into it, until you start walking it. Because I've lied on a lot of resumes.
What about when it comes to the bedroom?
Oh, Lord.
What about it?
Yeah, let's talk about it. let's have this conversation.
Which thing?
Tammy, Chris came on our clubhouse and said, you know, we invited the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit,
That's
and we invited
right.
the best sex we've ever had. Remember that?
Like the Holy Ghost in your bedroom.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out when y'all let the Holy Ghost and did you feel comfortable with the Holy Ghost resting on y'all? We need to talk to y'all. We got to find out what's going on here. He said that on that clubhouse.
I was right next to him. Respect the marriage bed, keep it sacred, and allow the Holy Spirit in. And why do you do that? To keep animals, cameras, and other people out of your bedroom.
Who said cameras? See, that's why I'm cameras go. Cameras. Y'all get
Ignore him.
Let me tell you something. If y'all get a hold of our Ring cameras around here. If I can Ring cameras, listen, nobody better not ever tap at our Ring cameras. I don't care. Bless the people. Somebody needs to be blessed.
Well.
That was our CNC recap.
That was a lot of fun last
That
week.
was a lot of fun.
I got a lot of feedback from that.
Yeah.
It was real. It was relevant. It was serious. We talked about serious marriage issues last week.
We did.
Stuff that people don't want to touch. They
Right.
definitely don't want to touch the bedroom.
Exactly.
They don't want to go there.
We don't teach that anymore.
Let's not start. That's
Okay.
another episode.
That's another episode. Go ahead with your monologue.
Well, listen, you all, this is a big week. Okay, as some of you may see, I wore my pearls. I'm getting started early. Okay, I have my pearls on. Yes, I am supporting our Vice President, Ashiro, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. I am supporting her. And I started off, I have on about 3 strands of pearls. Yes, I do. However, I just wanted to start this week off. You know, I'm coming in peace. I'm speaking in peace. I'm believing for peace for the rest of this week and just the rest of this year and just from then on. Despite what happened 2 weeks ago on January the 6th, that insurrection that happened, it's a lot of things that's supposed to happen this week. It's supposed to be an inauguration. Now, if you think about years past, you did not think it was like second nature. Okay,
Right.
it happens. Okay, yeah, we're gonna sit in front of the TV. We're gonna, whether you voted or not for that person, it was still something big and historic.
Right.
Okay, now let me tell you what's not gonna happen. Well, our current president will not attend, which
Right.
is a tradition.
Right.
His-
He will not get a letter.
No, he will not give a letter to President
Right.
elect Biden.
Yes.
The first lady is not going to greet the new first lady and give her a tour. That is not going to happen.
Wow.
They are trying to do something at the Air Force Base for him leaving. He's going to leave at early in the morning, I think like at 8 something. I have this article on theguardian.com that I was reading of everything that is not going to happen that would traditionally happen.
Wow.
And you know what I learned from this?
What's
One
that?
thing, our children, they're watching. Our children, they're watching,
Yes.
they're learning. I don't care if you voted, how you voted. Our children, they're watching, they're learning, they're watching our conversations, and they're learning what to do and what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we as parents, we have a choice to sit down and have a real candid conversation with them and say what you should and should not do.
Right.
Now, I do realize there are some parents that's going to say, you know what? If this happened to me, I would probably do the same thing. I wouldn't show up either. But you know what? That to me, we are learning how what a person does when they don't know how to lose
Mm-hmm.
or to accept the loss.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you may, they cheated. No. I mean, how many basketball, baseball, football games you hear somebody say, oh, they cheated. But when it comes down to somebody had to certify it, somebody had to say, okay, you are the winner, this, that, and the other. Somebody had to do it. And everything is in place. All the documents have been signed. Stuff is in ink, and the ink is dry. It's over now.
Wow.
But yet we have all these things that's not going to happen this week. But you know what? I know that President-elect Biden is going to hold his head up high along with his wife and Madam Vice President Kamala Harris and her husband. All will be well. I mean, it's things that he's going to start and get going on the day, his first day as president. So everybody be praying for peace.
Yes.
That's the best thing. Pray for peace. I don't care which side of the fence you're on. I don't care who you voted for. We can all pray for peace because at the end of the day, we all still have to live here. We still have to. We are still in the pandemic. That's another thing. This thing has taken our mind off of we're in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Again, I don't care what you believe, who you voted for. You're still in the pandemic.
Right.
People are still dying. I lost another person from since the last time, and so people are dying. Everybody keep everything the main thing. Thank you, everybody that has tuned in so far. But again, just speak peace, walk in peace. I mean, put a little extra smile on it under your mask. I mean, I smile with your eyes. They call it smizing. I mean, do it.
Right.
But, everybody walk in peace.
Right.
Speak peace. Don't, if you think you're having a bad day, maybe you need to stay home. Maybe you need to have your groceries delivered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But we need peace right now. We need peace. You see somebody without a mask, just go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Just go the other way. Because they're making a statement. I mean, just go the other way. So
That's good. That's good.
just
Hey, I got something right quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're broadcasting on Clubhouse as well.
yes, we
Yes.
are.
I see Michelle is on there too.
Oh, awesome. That's
But no, that's a good point. I'm glad you made that. I'm glad you brought
I
that
mean,
up.
this
as
week
far
is
as
big. Yes, ladies, put on your pearls and your suits.
turn down your phone a little bit,
I'm sorry.
all the way.
It's actually it's
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
hey, put on your pearls, put on your suits. I don't know, or if you can't wear a suit, at least have your pearls.
Right.
I'm a nurse, but I'm not on the floor.
Right.
Wear your pearls with your scrubs. I'm just
Right.
saying.
And there's so many conspiracy theories
Yes,
out
it
there
is.
about Trump did this and he's for this, and Kamala Harris is and Biden is for this, and they're all a part of this. Whatever. Let's just get past that. Just live your life. Push through, like I mentioned last week,
Mm-hmm.
and just live your best life.
Mm-hmm. Do what
You know.
you're supposed to do on this earth.
Right.
Find your purpose. Do it.
Right.
Listen, we need people to find their purpose.
Yeah.
We
Hey.
need people to
Mhm.
find their purpose. It makes for a better life.
Yeah. We got a special guest.
Yes, we do. I'm
A
excited.
good friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
out of Los Angeles, California,
Mm-hmm.
L.A.
Okay.
We met in L.A. Good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
He's I'm gonna probably put a dig in there now.
No, don't
but,
dig.
But he's a member of that other fraternity. But we're not gonna say it.
It's
We
a
just
wonderful. We are supporting. See, I just said peace.
Oh,
we
you did say
speaking
that.
peace.
You did say that. You
Listen.
did say that. So let's.
But I
read
would like to say
the,
you can't get the purple without red. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, ain't nothing like a Kappa man. So let's go ahead and I want to put this disclaimer up prior to our
Show today.
show today.
Mhm.
And today's episode of Make My Money Grow is
Yes.
intended for educational information only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other service. Viewers and listeners should not act upon the content or information found on this show without first seeking the appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional. Essentially, do your own research first.
Mm.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Do your research. Do your research. That was good.
Your father-in-law said we need peace.
Peace. Peace. Yes. So yeah, let me go ahead and introduce Brian Grant. But at this time, I would like to share. I got to put on my reading utensils for this. Hold on 1 second. Let me. When you get older, you got to get glasses and stuff. At this time, I'd like to share a few words about an exceptional individual by the name of Brian Grant. Mr. Grant's outstanding career accolades include over 30 years of service to the community as a business banker and community development representative. As a business banking professional, Mr. Grant has helped both business owners and individuals gain access to the critical banking and financial tools they need to establish and grow their business. As someone who has owned his own business and has helped other businesses to grow and flourish, Mr. Grant knows the challenges and that entrepreneurs face daily, and is always more than willing to lend words of wisdom of wisdom or other support as needed to those looking to either start or grow a business. Furthermore, Mr. Grant has extensive knowledge of the banking and financial industries to help individuals to become more financially literate, generate new revenue streams, and become better managers of their own finances and credit. Most importantly, Mr. Grant is someone who gives it back to his community. As a husband, Mr. Grant understands the importance of being a positive role model. This is why he willingly serves as a positive role model for young men and women within the disadvantaged communities. Through encouraging and helping these young men and women to complete their education and gain valuable career training, Mr. Grant has helped to mold our youth into becoming productive members of society. And this bio will attest to Mr. Grant's amazed and exceptional career resume. His willingness to give back and help others to achieve their goals and dreams is just exceptional. Mr. Grant is a professional of the highest order and is someone who's using his talent to promote the gift of giving. Mr. Grant currently serves as an advisor of several community-based organizations and is a member of blank, blank, blank Fraternity Incorporated.
No.
Where did Mr. Grant go?
He sent you a text. I did see his name pop up. Something happened.
Okay, let's see.
He sent a text.
All right, continue to expound on your.
Okay, so back to where we're going today. One of the purposes of us wanting to do this financial literacy, entrepreneurship, wealth management discussion today is because where we are. I know we've heard this stuff for years, but we, believe it or not, this whole pandemic you can use it to your gain. You can find out what's out there, hone in on your gift. What you have, people need it. What you have, your gift, your talent, what you like to do, your hobby, people need it. It's just you have to maybe be a little bit more creative. I mean, the tutors are not meeting like one of our children. We have a tutor, and it's Zoom meetings, and it's effective. It's effective, and it's working. People still need meals at home. People still need resources. They still need your gift. The beautician, hey, they coming in the homes and stuff. Now you have to be safe and make sure they stay honest. But,
Okay.
We want you there.
All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and bring them on. We have, with it's technology.
Of course.
So we have technical difficulties every now and then. So let's go ahead and bring them on.
Bring them in, Mr. Brian
Mr.
Grant.
Brian Grant, how are you, my friend?
Hello. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me, Chris and Carlette. It's a pleasure.
You might have missed out as I was reading your bio that you were a member of blank 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 fraternity incorporated. So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Go
one of the greatest fraternities in the world.
And what's the name of it? Because the name was not said. You say the name, sir, however you want to say it.
It would be the number one fraternity of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
And there you go.
There you go.
Equal opportunity.
There you go. So
one of our first guests, he's a member of Omega Psi Phi as well. So
okay.
Yes.
Well, at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
That's
It.
right.
That's it. And we saw that when Kamala got selected as
Yes.
how all the sororities and fraternities came
together
to be one.
Strolling to the polls is one of the things that you saw. And then they say a lot of people were making different unusual donations of 1908 or 1906 or 1911. But they were wondering like what, but they was like, it was so many, it was adding up. Those $19 and something cents was adding up real quick when you had hundreds and thousands of people, making that donation. So I promise you, they know how to carry the one and add. So
right.
There you go.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us. And if we have any callers, feel free to dial in if you have any questions, 727-731-3274. And if you have, and for AT&T, you have to dial the 209-399-9093. And then your passcode is the 727-731-3274.
And can you explain to him why we have two separate numbers like that?
The reason why, I think because Free Conference Call and AT&T had a feud, and so they don't. AT&T does not want to honor a single phone number to dial in. So I had to find that out the hard way. So, but let's go ahead and get started.
Let's get this started.
Grant. So, What is financial literacy?
At the end of the day, if I had to define financial literacy, it is the ability to understand how to make sound financial choices so you can confidently manage and grow your money. And it has 5 core building blocks. For example, earning, saving and investing, spending, borrowing, and protecting. So as you make financial decisions each and every day, you should use these 5 building blocks for managing and growing your money.
Can you repeat those 5 again? Because we're taking notes on here. I told people come prepared with your notebooks today.
The 5 building blocks would be earning, you're earning income.
Okay.
You're saving and investing, that's number 2. Okay. And then you're also spending. You got to be careful what you spend and how you spend it. And then there's a borrowing. If you've got to borrow debt, get a credit card, purchase a mortgage, or get a loan to purchase a mortgage. And then protecting. As you continue to build on your assets, you have to make sure you educate yourself and build upon it as well.
Okay.
Protect it as well.
Okay.
Wow, good. How can financial literacy prepare me for wealth building?
I think that's a great question. Let me use the scenario of if you look at your life as an athlete who's preparing for a race. So, or for the Olympics, you train, train, and train. Personal wealth building is the same. You train and prepare yourself through financial education, for example, reading books such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door, Your Money, Your Life, and online there's Black Business Enterprise and other personal finance books and magazines. Other sources to train the brain is, for example, online you've got Yahoo Finance, you've got YouTube, you've got online finance courses, social media finance groups, and just like your podcast, and you have local nonprofits and community organizations that can assist you in this space as well.
Wow.
So if there was a key takeaway, as one builds wealth, you must protect it. And knowledge will be your best defense.
Now, when you talk about wealth, is it just money?
No, it doesn't necessarily. When we talk about wealth can mean any personal assets such as your home, your personal investments, your 401k, any income streams that you may have through small businesses or through any type of investments. It could actually be a coin collection. You see, anything. It could be foreign currency. As long as it has value to it, you want to make sure that you continue to educate yourself and protect yourself at the end of the day.
So when you look at your portfolio, like let's say, for example, a 401k, they always say that you need to divest your portfolio and have a wide range of asset or money in certain, like if you look at a pie shape, you should have like 10% fixed and such. Is there a portfolio of wealth? Like we need to have so much land, or we need to have so many assets, and then we need to have so many so much cash on hand. Is there a pie chart that you can refer to kind of diverse your wealth?
Well, I'm going to leave that question for your next guest, the financial advisor, because I'm not the specialist in that particular space. I'm not a financial advisor. My experience is in banking and small business, financial literacy, and things of that nature.
Okay,
gotcha.
Okay, we'll steer.
Is that fair?
Yes, that is fair. That is fair. I just, in case someone wanted to ask that same question, but no, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, what I would do is defer that to your financial advisor, your investment advisor, someone who has a license and experience to respond to those type of questions.
Now, I do have a question. You said a coin collection. Now, to hear that a coin collection is considered wealth, but then we go into the stores and they're saying you got to have exact change because we can't give you coins back, or there's a coin shortage. I know that might be two different things, but I talked to our banker about 2 weeks ago, and I asked her, should I be turning in these coins in these piggy banks? And she told me, yes, you should. So are we talking two different things?
I'm sorry, finish your thought.
No, are we talking two different coins? Are we?
Yeah, I was actually referring to precious metals such as silver coins and gold coins.
Okay.
Yeah, for the dime, nickels, and pennies, I'm not sure if there's a shortage or the mint decided not to make any more. So what they were going to use is those that are currently in circulation.
Okay.
Interesting.
So that's my limited understanding.
Okay, I just want to be, because trust and believe, somebody thought the question I just said. I'm trying to think for others as well. I knew exactly what you were talking about, but I just really thought it was interesting that she did tell me. She said, yes, you should turn in those coins that your children have and just put it in their bank account. That's exactly what she told me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So when we talk about, wealth and financial literacy and really dive into entrepreneurship, because that's kind of like the bread and butter as I see it. Like when you start a business, you can call that yours. I mean, it's something that you have sweat equity in. It's something that you work hard for, and you can see the value. It's something that, wherever your passion is, that's where your treasure is. So I wanted to know, as far as entrepreneurship, how do you go about starting that business where you can generate wealth and you can set up a legacy to hand over to your children?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the question is how to start a business.
Yes.
And I think one of the first things that one should consider is you've got to think about your own gifts and skill sets, what you really, really love doing. And when you think about that, what do you have to offer to someone at the end of the day that they're willing to pay for? And then once you get that concept, you place it on paper. You get that ideal, you place it on paper. You create a simple business plan. It could be either a product or a service. And then the next question is, who will be your customers? And then the follow-up to that is, at what price and at what cost? So those are some of the things to consider. Now, you can also use local free resources to assist you, such as the Georgia Small Business Economic Development Center. For anybody that's trying to start a business, they can provide you with probably a simple roadmap and also technical assistance. Now, the benefits to starting a small business, like you just mentioned, is independence. As a business owner, you're your own boss.
Right.
And some of us don't like to be boss. So what do? You create your own business, so you'll be your own boss.
Okay, 1 minute.
The other thing that you alluded to is financial rewards. If you start your own business, depending on how much sweat, equity, and time you place into it, it's unlimited income. It can create a lifestyle for you that has advantages to it. You can travel if you're successful, take your family along with you, maybe friends and relatives. And then the last thing I think that's important to mention is that it creates freedom and personal satisfaction, plus a legacy opportunity for your beneficiaries. It could be your family member, it could be a cousin, friend. So it creates a legacy opportunity for, yes, a family member, a son, a daughter, and so on.
Wow. Yeah, because that's
okay. And so one of the other things that I wanted to mention is this. When you're thinking about starting a business, I think you should really think about the industries that are going to be around for the next 10 or 20 years. Why? Because of COVID-19. Okay. And that has shaped the world in a different way. So, for example, COVID-19 has affected a lot of restaurants, retail industries, clothing, and so on, because people are not shopping, they're not spending. So retail is heavily affected. So if you're going to start a business, I think you should really do some diligent research and find out what markets will be resistant to things such as COVID-19, such as being a consultant, an online reseller, an online teacher, medical courier service, an app developer, a professional organizer, home care service, which is very large because the United States has a very large senior citizen community. And so there's other services such as food trucks, lawn care services, and medical transportation. And I'll stop right there. But if you got any questions, but I think the key thing is that when you select an industry, just make sure it's going to be around the next 5, 10, and 15 years. Reason being is because is because of COVID-19.
Wow.
And because you're creating a legacy strategy as well. It's not just about you, but who comes after you as well.
Mm-hmm. So when you go out to do that, so I guess it takes a lot of market research to come up with that, to see what's going to be out.
Well, let's break down market research. That sounds like a big word. Break down market research.
Well, just, the fact that you have to go out and see what type of businesses are, what's
the need?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I totally agree. Finding out, and all you have to do is, for example, during COVID-19, a lot of us are working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So, but working remotely, what services and what products do we need?
Right.
Okay. The gardener continues to come by.
Yes.
You may still want to stop by the cleaners and drop off a shirt or two, or you may want medical transportation for your parents to continue to go to the doctor. So those are some of the industries that I was alluding to.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to be a tech savvy guy like Chris, but you can just be the average John Doe, and you can just look around, you look in your environment, look in your neighborhood, talk to your family members, see what their needs are, and this is how you can actually come up with your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say I loved every idea you gave, and people, to everybody that's listening, just know that it's more even outside of what he said, but he gave a long list of stuff that is very relevant, ideas, businesses that can be started. Yes, do your due diligence, get the license that you need, the certifications that you need. And what does that look like safety-wise as far as masks? Like, for instance, as much as we need home health aides and nurses right now, we need them to stay safe. And we need them to keep their patients safe, because if they're going from house to house to house, they really need to have extra scrubs in their car. They need to have shoe covers. You have to do everything that's needed to protect, because as bad as we need them, people are catching COVID from their home health nurses and home health aides. It's happening.
Yeah.
It is happening. So do your due diligence, in not just, I'm going to do a business, but be safe. Be safe. You don't want to be a spreader.
So what are some of the advantages of starting a business?
Independence. You are your own business owner. Unlimited income. That's a financial reward. Whatever you put into it, that's what you get out of it. Your lifestyle. It can actually change your lifestyle. You see, you can actually do things that you can't do on probably a very low income. You see, you can travel, you can invest, you can purchase maybe additional real estate for income purposes. It creates financial freedom to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important.
You get a lot of tax
And let me just mention one thing about, and because I'm an African American, I have conversations with a lot of African American business owners who've actually been affected by COVID-19 in the retail space. And so what they had to do is to rebuild, reshape, remodel their business.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if I walked into the neighborhood soul food place, because of the COVID restrictions and limitations of how many people can come in and out, now this particular business owner now will provide lunch and dinner for seniors, and they will provide transportation of those deliveries through, for example, food apps or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've done is shift their business model, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So when you start your business, like, are there professionals that you can reach out to because obviously if you need to go to get a loan from a bank, let's say, they want to see your business plan.
Right.
And what does that look like? When I say I want to start my own business, like, do I hire somebody to help me with my business plan, or what does that look like?
I think that's an excellent question. What happens at the end of the day, when we pay our federal, state, and local taxes.
Mm-hmm.
A percentage of that goes into small business investments such as nonprofit organizations. For example, the Georgia Minority Supplier Development Center, the Atlanta Small Business Network, the Douglasville Small Business Chamber. All these are resources that are free to you. And the key word is free.
Free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because when you're starting off, you don't have a lot of money to work with.
Right.
So what you want to do is to exploit and explore every free resource out there. And we pay through these through our taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can actually do a Google search on your own particular city or town for these type of resources. I know you guys are located right there in Douglasville, and but you are in the county of Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
And Douglas County may have resources for you to get your business started. They can direct you towards financing. And one of the things that this leads into that I wanted to discuss is becoming a certified small minority-owned business, which is key.
Mm. Tell us a little bit more about that. About how.
I think that's the hottest thing going on right now for color folk. Okay.
Yes.
Becoming a certified small minority-owned business has its advantages. What does that mean? Large contracts.
Mm-hmm.
One more time. Large contracts. Well, what type of contracts? Corporate contracts, federal contracts, state contracts, local, city contracts. Okay? So, certification categories. Let's talk about that. Well, what makes one qualified? Well, if you're a veteran, you're a woman, you can get certified as a woman-owned business. If you're Black, Hispanic, LGBT, they have certification categories. And the requirement is that you must own a minimum of 51% of the business in order to qualify to be certified. Now, there are various agencies out there that will certify one. But I want to go back to those corporate, federal, state, and local governments. Those are $billion that are waiting out there for minority-owned businesses to contract with. And I'll give you an example. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Black Enterprise Magazine.
Yes.
Yes.
Black Enterprise Magazine periodically will promote the top Black-owned businesses throughout the United States. And guess where 98% of these businesses started? As certified businesses. The number one billion-dollar operation is a tech company that started as a minority certified business, and they got their contract with the federal government. Now, the key strategy is this. Watch this, Carlette, because I see you writing. Okay. The key thing is this, is that knowledge is power. You know, when we pay our taxes, we pay federal taxes, state taxes, and we also buy from corporations. So what certain corporations have done is allocated a percentage of their budget to minority-owned businesses. The federal government has done the same thing. So, for example, there's an African-American lady in Los Angeles who just won a $5 million contract with Metro to provide piping.
Wow.
And when I talked to her about 4 years ago, she knew nothing about piping. But she says this industry, because California is growing in the area and space of construction, she says, I'm going to get into piping. And so as a result of that, 3 years later, she's got a $5 million contract. That's just local. So you could imagine federal contracts and the need for example, the prison system has needs, products. They have a need for products. You've got school systems that have need for products and services as well. So once you become certified, you can actually bid on these products. And so one particular contract, could lead to other contracts. So that puts you on the road to becoming financially
Thanks for
wealthy.
joining us this week on Chris and Carlette
So
Live.
what you're doing,
Make sure to
you're
visit our
taking
website,
advantage
chrisandcarlette.com. If you're on Facebook, share this
of your
broadcast.
blackness.
If you're on
Let me put it
YouTube,
that way.
please subscribe to our
I'm
show.
just-
You may
I'm
also
just
find us
saying,
on
you're
Apple
taking advantage
Podcasts,
of this.
where you'll
And I'm
never
going to
miss
stop
a
for
show.
some questions, but there are resources out there for these certifications that you can look into on the federal and state level that I can refer you to. And real quickly is the Georgia Minority Supplier Development Center. The second one is the System for Awards Management. It's called sam.gov. That's for federal contracts. And for state and city and local contracts, for example, look at Douglasville. Douglasville, you can get a contract for the police department just by providing cleaning service for their uniforms.
Wow.
You see,
wow.
I can go on and on, but I'll stop right there. Go ahead.
Wow.
So let me.
This
okay,
is good.
this is good. So I want to know, like, when you go before these bankers, the reason why we dressed up today is why? Because we wanted to dress the part, because we're talking about wealth and we're talking to a professional business banker. So we wanted to dress the part. How should we go into being a minority? How should we go into these, banks or corporations? We shouldn't wear jeans. Can you just expound on like the whole persona? What should we do? How should we look? How should we talk?
Mhm.
In order to gain access to these resources.
I think physical impression is very important, but more, I think what's critical is information.
Mm-hmm.
Because what bankers are impressed with are your financials. You
Gotcha.
see, you can physically dress the part, but are your financials in place?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you pay your taxes? Or do you try to avoid your taxes?
Mhm.
So having a conversation with your team, and let's talk about a team.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a small business and I want to grow to be a multi-million-dollar business, so I can pass my business on to my son and therefore onto his son, I want to make sure that I've got all the right players in place to build this empire. So number one, I would need to have a certified public accountant, and he would have to understand what my objectives are, what I'm trying to do as a business, how I'm trying to grow, and make sure that my financials or taxes are in order so I can prepare those for the bank. The second thing is that I need a good attorney for legal advice, because I've got to go through contracts and I want to make sure that I don't place myself in a contract that I can't realistically fulfill. The third thing is that as the income continues to come in, you want to have a conversation with a financial advisor. A financial advisor can actually give you a roadmap on how to prepare for retirement and also an exit strategy from your business. So those are some of the key things to look at. Now, even though we're talking about physically dressing, but what's more impressive to the lender is your paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
you see. So, and at the end of the day, if you're asking for a specific amount, for example, 100,000, how are you going to pay that back?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Right.
I've had experiences years ago, where someone wants $100,000, but they stated in their taxes that they had no net profit. So something's wrong there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you're asking for something, you have to have a plan through the business, through your income, of how to pay that back.
Mm-hmm.
So the first source, now this is how it works. The first source of repayment to a bank is your income. It's not your assets. I'm going to repeat that. It's your income stream and not your assets. Well, some people say, well, hey, look, I own 3 houses. I own this. I own a car, a Corvette, a 1957. But that's not what the bank wants. The bank wants your income to pay for your loan. So that's their first source of repayment that they look for. Now, if you can't pay that and you default, obviously, yes, your assets would be used and sold off. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yes.
that makes a lot of sense.
Wow.
So the key thing is building your team.
Mhm.
It's just like, here, I'm in Los Angeles, and we got the Lakers.
Right.
We probably win another championship, right? Okay.
Well,
So,
yes.
but look at the team. Look at the team that's been built. Now, keep in mind, I want to mention something that's very important. Over 30 plus years in banking, I had the opportunity to witness businesses that have failed and businesses that have succeeded. What's the difference between the two? Let's talk about that just for a minute. At the end of the day, you are the captain of your ship.
Mhm.
You are hiring the attorney to accomplish your legal goals. So you have to interview the attorney. The attorney doesn't interview you. It's the reverse. If you have an accountant, you share with that accountant what your goals are. For example, Mr. Accountant, I did $1.5 million in business gross sales last year. My goal is to build this to a $5 million business in gross sales in the next 2 to 3 years. So what I need from you is to make sure that from a banking standpoint, as I ask and submit for lending, that all my paperwork is in order.
Mhm.
And so to my understanding is that a banker requires that I have a net profit. I just want to make sure that I'm paying my taxes and I have a net profit where I can prove to the bank for whatever amount I ask for, I'm in a great position to pay for.
Now, what about if it's a startup? So how do you go? You may not have a lot of money when it comes to a startup, and so what do they look? They look at your personal assets and
No, we're going to back up because you're not going to go to a bank as a startup.
okay.
Because keep in mind,
Uh-oh.
institution under compliance, under federal law, meaning that they have to protect the depositor's money.
Mhm.
So a startup business would be considered a high risk. So what do? Let's back up a little bit. I want to start a business. The first thing I need to do is, what do I have to start this business? Well, I've saved up $2,000.
Mhm.
So that's my personal equity, my personal money that I'm going to use. And so, but wow, I'm going to need an additional $3,000. Where am I going to get that? Well, let me talk to a family member. Let me talk to a potential investor or a potential partner where I can get that additional $3,000 from. Or maybe I can borrow it from a friend or a family member, you see. So now there's other resources as well. There's resources called the Community Development Financial Institutions. It's called CDFIs. CDFIs, they not only provide you with lending, they're not a bank. Most of them, for the most part, are nonprofit organizations that is financed by the federal government to help support small businesses throughout the U.S. Now, keep in mind, if you split it up into 2 different categories, you've got banks, then you got commercial financial certified CDFIs. Now, CDFIs requirements are a lot less stringent than that of, and let me know if I'm going over time,
No,
a
you're
lot less stringent than that of commercial banks.
Mhm.
So, as a new business owner, where am I going to get financing from? Number one, you can self-finance it. Number two, you can get investors. Number three, you can go to CDFIs to borrow that money, in which they will, not like banks, use your personal assets to lend you the money. They may use your car as collateral, where a bank will say, no, we want to see a successful business that's been established and it has a revenue stream. A commercial, a CDFI may say, well, hey, look, we know you're a startup, we understand it. So what we're going to do is take a look at your business model, and we're going to use your personal assets to provide you an additional $3,000.
I just wanted to interject. If you have questions for Mr. Grant, please dial 727-731-3274. If you have an AT&T phone, you have to dial 209-399-9093, and then the access code is the 727-731-3274. So you're throwing out a lot of great information, and I wanted to know too, and maybe I'll digress a little bit to, two questions. What is going on with these PPP loans? And everybody hears about these loans that the government is issuing, and can as minorities and entrepreneurs, can we take advantage up on the upcoming PPP loans? And what do you have to say about that?
Well, that's part of the stimulus package, and obviously Joe Biden's got another one coming out, and there was a cry from the first round, second round, that small businesses didn't have access to the PPP loans. The PPP stands for payroll protection. All right. Now, it doesn't mean that you can get this loan and go buy a car. It's used to protect your base and to provide a salary for your income so that we can continue to protect our economy. Now, most banks will distribute the PPP loans. All right. Now, but there are other financial institutions, there's CDFIs, like I mentioned, that will assist you with the PPP loans as well. So, the second round is coming. The Biden administration, through the new stimulus package, I think it's $1 trillion or something. I don't know the specific numbers now, but there's a portion that is carved out for small businesses. And remember, PPP stands for payroll protection. In other words, you must have a legitimate business with payroll. And payroll, when they're asking for paperwork at the end of the day, is that there's payroll taxes that you submit. So you have to submit documentation to support that you are a legitimate business at the end of the day. Now, can you get a PPP if you're just one employer? You're just one person? Absolutely. So, but you would talk with your local banker. If you have a business, obviously, small business, you have a business banking account, and I would talk with the local relationship manager in that bank about how to access and how to apply for that PPP loan. And then you can also go through the SBA. SBA.gov will also give you some guidance as well, which is a Small Business Administration.
Gotcha. Can you?
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I hear it. I hear it.
Okay.
Is this something he could?
Let's see here. Hold on 1 second.
I just heard it.
All right. Okay, it should be gone now. Thank you. All right. We had a little echo, so but okay. I think I just fixed it. So when it comes to, again, minority business loans, and I think that's a different element, or a different beast, I should say, from our churches. And Carlette, most of her family is, has either a pastor, evangelist, or what have you, and they have their own church. In general, is there any protection? What should the churches do in order to, maintain that wealth? And I'm using wealth lightly, but is there anything that they can do to help out, or to get assistance?
Because churches are defined as nonprofits, 501c3s. They have the opportunity to market and solicit for donations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, those donations could be defined as tithe and offerings. Okay. So then there's other opportunities where a person that's a senior that owns property or owns a home, at the end of the day, they pass away, but they've got no heirs. They can actually donate that property to the church.
Mm-hmm.
They could donate cars. Have you guys seen, like, turn in your car, your used car for a tax write-off
Right,
or
right.
something like that?
Actually, when we lived in California, I was thinking about donating a car to West Angeles.
Absolutely. And then West Angeles in return would take that car in through a professional service. And as a result, they would use that car for scrap metal or whatever, and then they would give a portion to West Angeles. And then your donation is tax deductible as an individual who make the contribution.
Mm-hmm.
So those are, getting back to your question, when you talk about what can the church do? Because obviously, as a result of COVID-19, services are not taking place. People are not contributing to the church like they did. And we've got, what, 20 million plus people unemployed, you see.
Right.
So if you don't have a job, it's very difficult to make a contribution or to participate in tithes and offerings. At the end of the day, you're trying to protect four walls. You need water, you need heat. So those would be the priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So what the church must do is come up with, remember when I talked about the retail soul food place that was losing a lot of money because of COVID-19, and they shifted their business strategy to provide lunch and dinner for the sick and shut-in senior citizens? See how they shifted their strategy just so they could survive? So the church has got to come up with innovative and creative ways to attract money, and also to come up with maybe services where they can get federal, state funding to justify their existence.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, maybe a food giveaway program. You see, I'm just trying to, because I do attend a church here locally. I understand exactly what you're saying, but I think when the dust settles at the end of the day, through the church, we must create, there's a word I was looking for, an ecosystem where we can support each other. Like, for example, both of you would sell toilet paper. Okay, I'll use the example toilet paper. And you've got a toilet paper business. So if each member, let's say, for example, each family in the church purchased that, that would help protect your business and your base. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now you're successful as a business, right? So now, because you're members of the church, you make a contribution to the church because you're members, that you pay your tithes and offerings. All right. So let's say that we create $1 million operation out of Chris and Carlette. Now you're a millionaire at the end of the day. So now what we would do is use other families as example through the church to do the same exact thing. And then what you can also do is to hire young people from the church so they have an appreciation for business, you see. And a lot of other cultures tend to do that. So sometimes you would go to a gas station, you would see the son or daughter at that gas station working, or you go to a retail outlet and you see the son or daughter working in there, getting that hands-on experience. So that's something that I think that the church should do in the future. We have to focus on economics, all right? And we'll leave Jesus to save the world.
Right.
But we have to focus on economics, especially minorities, especially. So,
Wow.
I mean, that's my personal opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I don't,
No.
so.
I know we're coming up on the hour, but one more question, and then I'll let. When it comes to, let's say, I want to create wealth and I want to invest in properties, I want to invest in land. What is the difference between going to someone that you had mentioned versus like a hard money lender, and what's the difference between those two?
Well, a hard money lender is someone who is defined as someone that you have to pay a substantial amount of interest on the loan.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, pardon me. Let me take a water break.
Okay, me too.
Um, you kind of want to stay away from that if you can.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is this, because let's say, for example, I've got a widget and the widget is going to cost me $25 to make and produce. And when I sell it for $50. If I sell it for $50, $25, I'm kind of breaking even, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, watch this. Let's say, for example, I sell it for $100. I made it for 25, and now I'm selling it for 100. So I now have a $75 profit. Now, because I've got a hot item and I'm desperate, and I go to a hard money lender, he may charge me 30% or 40%, which takes a large portion of my net profit. So the key thing is this, is resources, resources, resources. And what do I mean by that? Is that, remember, you can go to the SBA, you can go to community development financial institutions, and you can ask for a loan. And if you ask for a loan from them, is that you now have a track record of borrowing. Now, once you build that track record up and you pay back that loan, now you've got a great track record for borrowing and paying. Now you can graduate that opportunity to what? A commercial banking relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's like steps. First step, I use my own money. Second step, I use investors. Third step, I might use the community financial development center. Okay. So, and the fourth step may be a bank. So there's steps to growing in a business.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people tend to, if they've got the money, they can self-finance their business.
Wow. Right. A couple other questions. What is so 2 questions. When you start your business, you have to get your EIN number. So is that representative of your actual Social Security number? That's the one question. And then when it comes to loans and getting this, going to banks, what shape does your personal credit have to be in?
Okay, I think that's a good question. Watch this. The EIN is what you call an employer identification number. That's your federal ID. Okay, that's your tax ID that's identified by the Internal Revenue Service. That's called an EIN. Then your personal is your Social Security. So we're talking 2 different things. Watch this. When you go apply for a loan from a bank, they look at both personal and they look at your business credit. Personal and business, they combine it together. Mm-hmm. They do a global analysis. So they put both things together. And don't let anybody tell you, oh, open up a business in Las Vegas and, you can use credit for this, and that. No. Because of the crisis that took place in 2008, the whole game has changed. Mm-hmm. Dodd-Frank Act, the whole game. So what that means is that when you are applying for a loan from a bank, and you can do 2 things. It could be either a loan or a line of credit. Now let's talk about that real quick. A loan is used for assets. like physical hard assets, like tools, supplies, things of that nature. A line of credit can be used for what? Payroll, because it's like a credit card that you will pay back in 30 to 45 days. A loan can be paid over a period of time. So, but a loan, think of a loan as something for hard physical assets, like transportation trucks, like tools, like a commercial building, a physical asset that can be paid off over a long period of time. A line of credit is used for short term. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It could be used for supplies or, for example, payroll.
Wow.
And that EIN again is the employer identification number. So, and it's just for the business itself because the business is a separate entity.
Now, some people also mention that when you start your business, you get that EIN number, and then there's another number that you get that acts like your business credit. I can't think of the term or the place that you go get it. What is the name of that? But it's like a business Social Security, like where they can see how well you pay your bills on time, or is that still associated?
Yeah, it's there are all that is derived from your EIN, trust me.
Okay.
You see, that's your primary. And then what happens is that you may have sub accounts or sub businesses with separate EINs as well. You see, so you got parent companies, and then you got DBAs doing business as. For example, the parent company could be Chris and Carlette Corporation. The doing business, the DBA through your local bank can be live with Chris at 8. And then the other DBA can be live with Carlette at 9. You know? So it just depends, you know. And then certain corporations have different entities that support them that complements the overall business. You follow me? So like a manufacturer may have engines, auto engines, but the subsidiary may do tires. You follow me? And then so there's DBAs, but when it comes to the key thing is that EIN, you know, a lot of this information is public information, and you can get this online. You know, what is an EIN? What is it used for? You know, how does an EIN affect my business, and why is it necessary for me to have an EIN?
Once you, okay, so, and I'll let you, so with that, are EIN numbers perpetual, are forever, or do they, if you dissolve your company or unofficially dissolve your company, is that EIN number still valid, or do you have to apply for another one?
Well, the EIN can live longer, just as long as a person with a social security number. As long as the business is alive, the EIN is alive. Once you dissolve the business, then it no longer exists.
Okay.
So if you, now for example, let's say did you have a question? I see you moving.
No.
Okay. Now watch this. Let's talk about a legacy. Let's talk about Chris and Carlette Incorporated. They have an EIN, and all of a sudden you're very successful with your corporation. Then all of a sudden you want to pass it to Chris Jr. So Chris would just take over and inherit the business, but he would also inherit what? That EIN as well.
Right.
Gotcha. Did you have a question?
No.
Now, if Chris Jr. decides, hey, mom and dad, now I don't like this. I'm going to dissolve it. I'm going to go into another space. So he starts his own business, gets his own EIN.
Wow.
And it doesn't cost anything to get an EIN. They're free, by the way. You can get them online.
Gotcha. Yes. Go ahead. Did you have a question?
Well, I think that's a good segue to go into. You had said something you want to talk about. Just tell the difference between, you know, how the importance maybe of like a LLC. Okay.
Well, remember the key thing is the Internal Revenue Service identifies, people can be in business and people can play business, right? People can be in business or they can play business. If you are a legal entity in the United States, you are either a couple of things: a proprietorship, which means that you own the business 100% by yourself, or you can be a partnership, or you can be a limited liability company with several owners, or you can be a corporation, either a S Corp or a C Corp. So these are IRS entities that are identified when you're paying your taxes. Now, the key person to have a conversation with is your accountant, and you explain to them what type of business you're in and what would be the best entity for me to structure my business with. That would be your accountant. Why? Because they're responsible for organizing your finances when it comes to paying your taxes. Your accountant is responsible for that, your CPA. In most cases, if you are in business and you can afford a CPA, I would recommend a certified public accountant. And they could give you the best advice on how to structure your entity and how to establish your entity. And a lot of people start off as a sole proprietor until they can graduate up to a limited liability company. And one of the benefits is that it's a limited liability. What does that mean? Limited liability. That means that there's a limit on the protection. In other words, if somebody sues you, the liability goes to 50% of each party, or not 50%, but each investment portion of the party that participates in that limited liability company. So, and it is separate from your personal assets
Right.
at the end of the day.
So
now,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's separate because remember, it's a separate entity. You understand? Now watch this. You've got two hands. One hand represents you. The other hand represents the business. So if the business incur any liabilities, that's the business. It has nothing to do with you personally. But at the end of the day, anything in the United States can be challenged in the court of law.
Especially nowadays. Yes.
Okay.
Do we lose him? Oh,
Okay.
okay. Cool. Let's see. Is that a question? Okay. Thank you. If you have any questions, we're about to wrap it up. But if you have any questions, even if you're streaming on YouTube or either on Facebook, let's call in. We need some callers. 727-731-3274. We have this great resource, this great man of God here that is throwing out some nuggets. Great wisdom. If you need to ask him anything, make sure you dial in. The phone lines are open. If you have any questions, wow, what can I say? This is great.
Can I share a strategy that I'm currently using that may be helpful to the audience?
Sure.
Oh, please.
My son graduated from college and he incurred debt, about hypothetically $30,000 worth of debt after he graduated. And in my particular case, I'm first generation college graduate. And so my son would be second generation. Now, and I'm saying college graduates because if you get a college degree, what that means is that you can actually go after jobs that pay decent or higher income than if you were coming in at an entry level. All right. So we're talking about wealth building and legacy. All right. So some families can leave a trust fund for their children. And then that trust fund is a lot of money. You follow me?
Yes.
In my particular case, because I'm self-made and I had to start with me, first generational wealth. My son would be second generational. So what I suggested that he do is he says, Dad, now that I've graduated, I'm ready to go into banking. And I said to him, no, let me propose something to you. You've got $30,000 worth of debt. Let me suggest that you start your own business. Why don't you use the resources and the network that I have to support you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, family A left Johnny $1 million. Family B, which is Brian's family, is leaving resources, networks in order for my son to become a millionaire. So that's a strategy that I use. Now watch this. The other thing that's important that I want to mention is that I said, well, if you come out of college and you're getting paid hypothetically $15, $20 an hour, and then you've got to pay for living expenses, utilities, and all these other things, it's going to take you years to pay this off. But if you are a minority-owned business and you're certified, you get 1 or 2 contracts that are pretty nice, good contracts. You can pay that off maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. So that was the advice that I gave him, and that's something that I think that we should consider as African Americans, from an economic standpoint, is to encourage our children to go into business, but not just any business, not selling hot dogs or anything like that. And I'm not trying to discriminate against hot dogs on the corner or whatever. I'm talking about a business that's going to be viable and that's going to generate large opportunities for income, you see. So as a result of my son going into business, he has a limited liability company. And so he went into business and he got certified as a minority business owner. And then he got several contracts with of our city entities, our local city. And so as a result of that, now he's moving. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
So it's just a smarter move at the end of the day, because if we've got a lot of debt over our head, it's hard for us to enjoy life at the end of the day. It's hard because I go back to, and I think, Chris, you asked me, what is the benefit of owning your own business? Is financial rewards, unlimited income. So there it is right there. But if I'm working for someone, I'm never going to make more than the owners.
Right.
Never,
right.
ever.
Right.
You see. So, but if I have my own business, that means whatever equity, time, investment, and education I put into it, then I reap the rewards at the end of the day. So that's one of the benefits of being in business.
Wow. Did you have any more questions?
No. Well, no. I have to do. I'm going to do my research.
Yes.
He struck something. Yes. I'm going to do my research on a particular area.
So, did you have any closing words, Brian? Or?
Well, first of all, listen, I think it's important that we have people like Chris and Carlette in our community, podcasts like this, because the first step is knowledge.
Yes.
And you see, look at Carlette; those wheels are spinning.
Yes, they are.
So when we have conversations like this, it leads to concepts, ideals, and then we turn those into plans, and then we execute those plans. So it's husband and wife teams like this, Christian-based organizations like this, that are very critical for millennials, Generation X, to listen to and experience.
Oh.
Uh-oh. We lost him again.
No.
Uh-oh. Let's see here. Let's see if we can bring it back.
You have to text him.
Okay.
Text him.
Let's see here. Go ahead and baby film.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
But I was just saying that I applaud you for your podcast. And as a husband and wife team, I hope to see you guys on networks across the nation and the world in the future.
Oh, thank you. We receive
yes,
it.
we receive all of
We
that.
receive it. We
Yes.
receive it.
Mhm.
Well, we want to thank you so much
Absolutely.
for taking the time to, be with us and join us and to, just share your knowledge with us. Carla, did you have any?
I no, the purpose of this show, as I stated earlier, was to get the process started, to get us to think, to walk away with something, to answer maybe a question that you may have had lingering in your mind in the direction you want to go or the direction you are going. And I believe that happened today. It happened for me.
Mhm.
I wrote notes on one piece of paper on both sides and started on the third, and
Mhm.
it was a lot. I would tell people to go back, listen again, take notes. I'm sure he said something, or you weren't able to write it down fast enough. Please watch it, share this. This is great information. No, we didn't do a lot of laughing. We learned
Yes.
again. We this was nuts and bolts here. This was foundational. This was something that could help, literally help.
Mhm.
Guys, we are in a pandemic, but there's no excuse that we cannot still thrive and push for it. Like he said, find the need, and then will they pay for it? Put a put a price to it, the price, the cost, write everything out. What is the need? And do I have what it takes to fulfill it? Do I want to do it? And I think that is so real when he said, know that your employer, you will not be richer than your employer. That is the truth. That is the truth. Every year you wait for your 1 to 3% raise. Yes, and don't get me wrong, we are grateful. Look at your job as your seed to your future, your seed to your
Absolutely.
project.
Yes.
So, I'm not telling, don't nobody go quit your job tomorrow. No, I'm not
No.
saying
That's
that.
right.
You go and plan your way. Your job is your seed to where you're going. And continue to stay faithful in what you're doing. Do your research, count up the costs, make a phone call, go down to your local chamber of commerce, or like he told us, the CDFI, which was the Community Developed Financial Institute, or your SBA. Go to those places, find out what you have. You might not be asking for the loan today, but you can find out what you have to do to get ready for it tomorrow. And listen, I wrote a first source of repayment to a bank is your income stream, and don't think about your assets. Since the bank don't want your asset, they want
Oh,
your income stream to be strong so you can pay for it yourself.
I think we have a caller.
Oh,
though.
we have a caller.
Yes. We got. Can you got time, Bryant, to take a call?
Yeah. Am I still on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can. We can still hear you. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Moore, Pernell Moore, how are you?
Hi, this is his wife, Cynthia. How are you, Chris?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. First of all, thank you all so much for hosting this financial literacy session. It has just been amazing. The questions y'all been asking such engaging questions that I couldn't think of anything. But then as we were going through, I did have a question for Mr. Grant, if I may.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, Mr. Grant, I'd love to know your thoughts on. So, my husband and I had a ministry in another state for about 10 years, and we transitioned to Chicago in March of 2020. And so, I wanted to know our ministry has somewhat been in a holding pattern, like we have not pivoted to online services or anything like that. We're just trying to be prayerful as to the next step. In regards to handling the business entity of it, since we are out of state, do we need to dissolve, I guess, that portion since it was in another state and then reinvigorate anew, or can we retain that same EIN number even though we have moved out of state?
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you're asking your current um, if your current church tax.
Uh-oh. Broke up again.
That's what you're asking.
Say it one more
Say
time.
that one more
Mr.
time.
Grant.
You broke up just a little bit.
Did you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you broke up just a little bit. Can you repeat
Oh,
your?
I see. What she's asking is is a current nonprofit tax status transferable to another state?
Yes.
Okay, watch this. If you have a legal 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization, that is federal. That is a federal ID number. So that means that as long as you're in the United States and its surrounding territories, that number, that ID is transferable. Does that make sense?
Yes. And we do have a 501c3.
Because it's
so
federal.
that's
Because
different.
it's, you see, you're not limited to, it's not a state ID. 501c3 is issued through the federal. That's a federal ID number, nonprofit. So that means the federal government arms extends to all 50 states. So if I had Brian Grant Ministries 501c3 in Douglasville, Georgia, I can also have a similar ministry under the same 501c3 in Chicago, Illinois.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
it's federal. And it's not
Okay.
state and it's not local issued. It's your federal ID number. And you can also speak with your accountant or CPA and they'll confirm what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because somebody's got to do the church taxes every 2 years, right?
Right.
So,
We do. And that person is still in the state that we left. So it was in Mississippi. And so, yeah, we've just kind of been in a holding pattern because, again, like you mentioned earlier, you know, the whole layout of church has changed, which, you know, we left again in March, which was right before the actual COVID began to spread across the nation, but still, we just have not had the same type of financial activity going on as far as tithes and offering, paying for lease space and things of that nature. So again, we're just sort of in a holding pattern trying to see what's the next step.
yeah, there is a wake-up call to our local churches. This is a wake-up call that the church must reinvent itself in order to survive. You must reinvent yourself. You must come up with services or products that will create a revenue stream in addition to tithes and offerings.
Now he just helps somebody.
And that's what we're thinking of now. We're trying to brainstorming, and so as a result, right now we're just working in our professional here. But the end goal would be to go back under the heading of that ministry and minister again, as well as, you know, be able to bring income. So, for instance, my husband is in his Master's of Divinity program, and the end goal is to become a chaplain. He also sings, so that's a service that he could do. I'm more so, you know, I guess administrative part, but kind of brainstorming on some other things that I could do. So it is.
Well, listen, let me make a suggestion. Let me make a suggestion. When I say reinvent yourself,
I would love that.
I want you to think about services that you can provide to your parishioners, to your members, that the state and federal government will provide funding for.
Wow.
That's good.
To be like a conduit.
Yeah, because you're a nonprofit organization. You know, you could have an educational program. You could have a program where you can contract out to some of the local governments that will support food distribution. You follow me? You may have sick and shut in. You may have a list of 100 seniors who can't prepare their own food, where maybe the church can create a separate entity within the church to do that. And then you can actually get contributions, you can get federal funding, so on and so on. You have to do your research. You have to do you've got to reinvent yourself at the end of the day. And believe it or not, a lot of our
Okay.
mega and large churches are into community building and providing low income housing, you see. So, but maybe you're not at that stage. So, what can you do as a growing ministry? Well, what services can you provide to low income families? What products
Okay.
can you provide to low income families? And once you do that and you provide the people with a need, and then you support that through ministry, then you grow your actual church simultaneously. So, at the end of the day, it's about providing a need or a product or a service, and you just have to reinvent yourself, you see. And it could be
Right.
even transportation, in the space of transportation,
Wow.
transferring seniors to their medical appointments and back home.
Mm.
That's good.
That's good. Thank you so much for those suggestions.
Sure.
That's good. Now, see, I heard so much. See, you just freed some people. Okay. You just told some of these ministry leaders, and I believe the Lord has spoken to some to, during this downtime. Oh,
Uh-oh. There we go.
this is time for some of them to maybe relocate. Not that you're running from anything, but to relocate the ministry and do something different in a different atmosphere. Maybe, it's this was a time, it's like when we weren't in pandemic and quarantine, the Lord may have spoke to a ministry leader to, okay, you need to go to Texas. But they didn't do it because it's like, well, how do I leave this? Well, hey, you're not having church. And you just heard that your tax ID, your 501c3 goes wherever you go. And to reinvent, do what you're supposed to do in another state or something like that, and you still have ministry. You might not do the same kind of ministry, but you do something different, whatever Lord tell you. He might have told you to go and you don't know what you was going to do, but you're not going to do ministry. And as soon as he sees your obedience, you step foot into that state, and then bam, the plan unfolds for you.
Wow.
I think you just helped somebody, seriously.
I see Willette over there saying, ooh, wee. She said, preach, Brian Grant, preach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the church of the past no longer exists.
Wow.
It no longer exists. We are not our grandmother and great grandmother. It's not their church. What COVID has done is changed the whole, not only the economic environment, but the religious environment in our local communities as well.
Wow.
So we're really seeing how we are the church.
Right.
Yeah. Man.
Well, we want to thank you. I know
Thank
it's
you.
way past
Yeah.
the allotted time, but you gave
Yeah, I know.
such-
That's what happens when you're having a good time.
Yes.
We're having a great time.
Yes.
And I
so-
appreciate everyone that stayed on, that's listening. And my dad, he said on here, great information. You are helping God's people. Miss the tutor that I was telling you all about, My Tutor Helps Me. That's the name of her business. Her name is Miss Demetria Bryant. She said something how you mentioned the benefits of contracts as a minority and a Black family. From what I understand, the location of the business is another benefit. Yes, absolutely. It was so many comments on here. Tamika Stewart said, got to get in the home nursing services back going, home health.
Absolutely. That's huge.
Yeah. Well, she's saying that because years back, me and her, we started a business because I'm a nurse. And so, we had actually started it, and then we just put it on ice. We haven't dissolved it. It's just sitting.
Well, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate all the knowledge that you have given us
Yes,
today.
Thank you.
And we just want to thank you again. Thank you. And then we might just, maybe a few months down the line,
We might have
get
to
you
do
back.
a part two. I mean, it was so much,
Yes.
because, we might be in COVID, and then it might be, okay, now we got to have the post-COVID conversation. We don't know. But whatever comes, I mean, we will call you and Chris, y'all have a working relationship, and
We work for the best bank on this side of heaven. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we want to bring you back maybe a few months from now, just to have you talk about something, go down a different avenue. But that was good.
This was amazing.
This was amazing.
And I thank you for even sharing your story about your son, because what I heard from that was not only you didn't give him the fish, you taught him how to fish. You gave him a plan that will sustain him even longer than the moment that he was really asking for. He was asking for basically the hookup, and you said, you know what? No, I'm going to give you a plan. So that is way better for him, and you want him to have that financial freedom, and I thank you. That's another example that somebody could take down and said, okay, I'm going to do that for my child. So thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. And then I guess that's it.
That's
thank you.
Did you have any last words?
Well, as Big Mama would say, to God be the glory.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, sir. Well, you take it easy. Have a great afternoon.
Okay.
I know it's
and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. No
pleasure.
problem. Anytime.
Okay, best
right.
wishes.
Thank
Same
you.
to you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Wow. That was
amazing.
great. That was amazing.
That was amazing.
Thank
you, Lord. That was amazing.
Yes. Pentasys, thank you so much for your time. Yes.
She said her knowledge has been increased.
Yes, that's what we want to do. Increase knowledge.
Yes.
Increase knowledge. Hey, we do have a Cash App. So those guests that we bring on, we do like to sow a seed in them. So if you would like to Cash App us, and then we still have other things as far as that we need financial support from our viewers and our listeners. So if you want to Cash App, if you found that this was a valuable vlog for yourself, we would admonish you to Cash App $CNC Live to use that for your Cash App. Even if you want to do $5, that's great. That can help support the broadcast as well as the guests that we bring on, because we like to sow seeds back into our guests.
And even if you want to put in the memo where you wanted specifically to go, if you wanted to go to Mr. Brian Grant, we will make sure he receives that.
Yes. Also, we want to make sure that you like, share, and what else? Like, share, and subscribe. Yes. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can continuously get updates on when we go live, as well as any upcoming dates. We are on Instagram, and Instagram is what?
CNC Live.
CNC Live. You can catch us live on Facebook and on YouTube at Chris and Carlette Live. And we just want to thank everyone. Any last words, babe?
No, thank you all. We'll see you all next week, where we're going to be talking about your credit.
Ooh,
we're going to talk. We have a professional here who a woman of integrity, and she has a great business, and by the name of Miss Robin Shohamihim.
Yes.
And,
African, right?
I mean, their last name is.
Yes.
She married into that family.
Yes. She's she got our credit spotless.
It was good. And she gave a plan, and not a situation. You have these situations, people who charge a lot of money and then they run away, and you're stuck. But I tell you this, with her, that score went up. I put it like this. I haven't been paying late. You know how you do all these deposits? No,
right?
Deposit-free life. I'm telling you.
So you all want to catch us next week?
How to manage your credit and COVID. Again, how we can rise on top, even through a pandemic. We are thriving, and these are tools and people that can tell you how to do it and how to be on top in it. We will not be tail end. We won't be in the basement, the bottom.
Yes.
No.
And we have some great we're preparing our February series.
Oh, yes.
For Black History Month. We have some great guests coming on.
Mm-hmm.
We have something special for you all on February 8th. Yes. We can't say what that is, but we have some other great. We're trying to look at getting some additional guests that are very famous. So just tune in, and we thank you.
Thank you for your faithfulness.
your faithfulness. Make sure you like, share, and
Subscribe.
subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook page. And we thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on Chris and Carlette Live. Make sure to visit our website, chrisandcarlette.com. If you're on Facebook, share this broadcast. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to our show. You may also find us on Apple Podcast, where you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Let us stay in contact with you by texting CNC Live to 474747. That's CNC Live to 474747.